Hey, what's going on, everybody? Steve here, Rake and Profit over at rakeandprofit.com, coming back to you with another live interview. And today we're talking with Matt, the Aussie Flipper on YouTube. Matt is out of Australia. He's been full-time on eBay. He does YouTube for about 18 months now. I'm not sure exactly how long he's been selling in total, but I know he's been going pretty hard the last 18 months. Over the last calendar year, he's done approximately $100,000 in sales, and he does a lot of shoes. He does a lot of media. Sounds like he's mostly on eBay, and I want to bring him on live today to talk about his story. So did I get that right?
You did, mate. Yeah, like, it's an absolute pleasure having me on. I'm pretty pumped for the next hour. And yeah, man, it's eBay, YouTube, last 18 months. We've just ticked a big milestone over with 100,000 in revenue, which was a big goal. But to be able to be here only a week into achieving it, it's really, really cool. But yeah, shoes, DVDs, plugging out YouTube videos, that's been me for the last 18 months.
Yeah. So if you guys enjoy this content, be sure to go check out Matt, the Aussie Flipper, on YouTube. I put a link to his channel, first link in the description. He's at 5,800 subscribers. So let's get him past 6. Let's get him up to 10K, because he's at 100K in sales. He likes that number right there. So let's get him up there, and really curious to get into your story, man. So you hit 100K in sales. Congrats, man. That's a big milestone, especially in such a short period of time. So 18 months, is that from start to finish? 18 months you hit 100,000 in sales. Is that the last 12 months?
Yeah. So the last calendar year, I guess it for me, if I backtrack a little bit, I was always working in the sales world. I was working in Aussie rules football, probably the equivalent to your NFL over in the States. I was working for some local teams in our league over here. And I did that for about 10 years, and I absolutely loved it. And I thought I'd be doing it for the rest of my life. And then COVID hits, as it's affected everybody. And that was obviously around about 18 months ago. So I really racked my brains, and I thought, what could I get into that I would still enjoy doing? And sales has always been a passion for me. So I thought that, e-commerce, selling things online, that might be something that, people are going to look to use in the future with the way that COVID's sort of pushing the world. And I thought that would be a good space to get into. I had no experience 18 months ago. I was without work, obviously not being in the football industry after COVID. And I just started to look around the house, which I think is the first best place to start. I think you've even said it yourself. Looking around the home, finding a few items, learning eBay from that. And for us over here in Australia, Amazon isn't as big. So we've got a larger audience if we're selling on eBay as opposed to Amazon. So that's why I went that way. Look, the first 6 months of last year, sort of July through to the end of December last year, was just really about learning. There was still probably about $40,000 in sales come through, but by no means was it a full-time job. But it was always, for me, I was doing it living at my parents' house. I'd gone back. I'm in a spare bedroom at my parents' house currently. And it was let's just sacrifice a few things for a fair period. It could be a couple of years, and really try and grow this as quick as you can and work super hard on it. So I've worked on it pretty much every single day for the last year, and that's both YouTube and eBay. And the last calendar year, things have really kind of taken off on a sales front, putting the right practices in place that I've been learning. And the 100K is the calendar year, I guess, of January through to December. So look, I hope that I'm a perfect case example for anybody out there that has aspirations to be a full-time reseller or to start a YouTube channel and grow an audience, because that's what really the documentation of the YouTube channel is about. Is you can go back to my first videos on the channel 18 months ago, because that's when I started it. You'll see some terrible videos, but you'll also see me beginning the process of how I started the whole business that I'm doing now.
Wow, that's huge, man. That's actually really quick. Congratulations, man. Everybody, be sure to take a second to, smash that like button for Matt, and, go over and follow him right now. Click that first link in the description, give him a follow, because that's huge. But, that's fast as well. A lot of people want to, start an eBay business and build a full-time income. And, hitting 6 figures in that period of time. I know 18 months to a lot of people probably sounds like forever, but for anyone who's been doing this for a while, like, it takes a long time to get to that point.
It does, yeah. And I probably, the best thing for me was I actually had that mindset that it would take. I gave myself a 3-year runway, basically. So I said to myself, work as hard as you can, fully commit to it for 3 years, and just see what position you're in after the 3 years. I had a little bit of savings. I wouldn't say that I could just solely rely on my savings for 3 years. I was going to have to sell something at some point. But it was a real case of, you've got a long runway, give yourself the time to just learn the process. Nothing comes good overnight. So just keep plugging away, keep learning. Watched a lot of YouTube videos yourself and a lot of the guys over in the States of just how to start, how to begin. What do you do at the beginning, basic initial steps. And look, I think I'm pretty happy with 100K after the first year, because really you look at it from an actual standpoint of what do you earn. It's about half of that. So for us over here in Australia, $50,000 worth of a salary, if you look at it that way, for us over here in Australia, and I'm sure it's the same in the States, that's a full-time job. So, it is really, really possible to achieve that if you want to, but you do need to really commit to it. You do need to put in a lot of hours. I will say that I really didn't really take a day off in that time period. Took a lot of like parties and catching up with friends and family, saying no to those sorts of things, and really just focusing on the big picture of what it can become if you keep plugging away.
So how many hours per week would you say you put on average? You said you were working every single day to get to this point. Is there an average if you had to just create a median number or something like that?
Well, I think first of all, it really comes down to trying to build on efficiencies, right? Because when you first begin, it takes a lot longer to do certain things. So, if you're trying to do your shipping, that's going to take a whole lot longer than if you've never done it before. So, I've always just tried to, I guess, first of all, to answer the question around the hours, I'd probably say, probably 60 hours a week, maybe even more, depending on splitting it between YouTube and eBay, probably 40 hours on eBay and then 20 hours making YouTube videos. If I really just sort of wanted to target eBay only, I probably would have at that time still put the 60 hours into the eBay business. I mean, you certainly can. But the YouTube was a real focus for me as well. So 3 videos for me took about 20 hours a week to do A to B. And before you know it, you're doing 60 hours. The good thing about it is it's obviously in your own time. You can do it over 7 days if you want to. And for me, I think the best thing about eBay is, or the way to be successful on eBay is to be consistent and to always be listing your items up. So I know you could schedule in listings. That was sort of what I learned as on to schedule in to take some time off. But I was really just trying to get into a good practice of, look, you're going to be listing 10 items a day, every single day. So that was sort of the way that I attacked it. And I've kind of just, remained consistent with all of that ever since.
Yeah. So let's unpack that a little bit, because you dropped quite a few gems right there. First off, I want to say, I think that I could honestly say, and I've said this in videos, if I didn't have my YouTube channel, if I wasn't documenting my journey, I probably would have quit a long time ago, because, before I started my reselling business 8 years ago, Matt, I quit everything I touched. Everything I touched, I would just quit. I would give up. I'd be a couple feet away from gold and I would just quit and give up. And having a YouTube channel, while you can make money from it through a whole bunch of different ways, usually you don't make money. It takes a lot longer to make money with YouTube than eBay. So let's put that out there first and foremost. But the networking, the saying, your network is your net worth. I learned so many things from just meeting people just like this right here. I'm sure I'll learn some gems from you, and the accountability. So, man, keep up the YouTube, because I'm telling you, man, if I could look back, that was one of the biggest things I could have done. And secondly, the listing goals. You said you were trying to list about 10 items a day. When I was first starting eBay and when I had finally transitioned to full time, that was my sweet spot as well. About 10 items a day got me to, I don't know if it got me to 100,000. Maybe my average selling price was a little less than yours, because we were talking behind the scenes. You got a good average selling price of some media, but 10 items a day is a solid number to kind of hit for a goal. So how did you get to that number?
I think a really key point, and first of all, actually, to your point around YouTube and the accountability front, could not agree more. And I really would encourage anyone that is reselling out there to document their journey, whether it be one video a week, just giving your 10 sales of the weekend if you're doing it part-time. That accountability for me, I said last January, guys, I'm going to hit 100,000 in revenue by December this year. The minute that I said that to, at the time, maybe a couple of thousand people, I literally felt for the entirety of the year, you said you were going to do it, so you better go and do it. And it was that accountability that really, if it was just me in this spare bedroom that you're looking at, and I could just only do it for myself, maybe I don't hit $100,000, because motivation slips, and the boys do tell me to come out for beers, and I do go out for beers. There's all these things that could take place, but when you've got that YouTube channel and you're accountable to a larger audience, that are really trying to learn off you as well, because that's the whole aim of it by making these videos, is to try and help people out there. So if you're going to talk the talk, you've got to walk the walk. And I really did appreciate that about having a YouTube channel. On the listings front, for me, I really quickly learned that you've got to get volume into your store if you want to start turning over some sales. So just listing up 10 items, waiting for those 10 items to sell, you might be waiting a really long time for those items to move. So initially, you're not going to potentially buy the best items. You're in the learning process. I certainly made some bad buys right at the very beginning. I didn't know what exactly were the best brands to sell. So there was some money that was wasted. That's the process, and that's the learnings that everybody is going to go through. So I actually built my store up by doing 20 items a day initially, just to get some volume, just to get a store that was a little bit sizable. The YouTube videos were still coming out, but it was a real slog for I would say about 6 months there, where it was actually 20. And then I had it at about 1,000. I remember hitting 1,000 items in my eBay store, and I felt that was quite sizable to bring in some good numbers. And then from there, it was almost maintenance mode for a little while, just doing the 10 a day. I would generate about 8 sales a day from those 10, because I had that store that was quite built up. And I think now I'm sitting at about 1,400 items in my store. And that's by not changing anything over the 10 a day for the last probably 6 months. But when you look at volume, that's an entire 18 months now where I've really not really skipped a day. And the effects and how much success your eBay business can have by just doing that simple step is huge.
Yeah, that's interesting how you mentioned, you were doing 20 items a day. And I actually noticed that, thinking back when I was first starting, you're putting in a lot more work at the beginning to build up your store, because I have noticed that once you get your store to a certain point, whatever amount of sales you want to make, Matt, maybe you want to do $10,000 a month. You're going to learn that based on the types of items and your average selling price and your sell-through rate, that you have to have an inventory a certain size, because the volume of items you have is going to churn out, the certain amount of sales and whatnot. And I like how you mentioned, once you got to that point, you kind of got into maintenance mode. And that's actually something we should talk about, because a lot of times we think when we're first starting an eBay business that we're going to have to be grinding psycho, crazy every single day. But once you kind of get to that point, of course, the grind never ends with eBay, but you could kind of take your foot off the pedal a little bit and kind of pull it back, as long as you keep those listings consistent, keep your inventory at the same point. It's so true. I love how you said that.
Yeah, and even store maintenance as well. So store maintenance for me, there were certain things that I would do at the beginning of every day that would kind of assist the 10 items that I was listing every day as well. So doing the end relist strategy, if you know that one, I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do it all the time. But I would make sure that I ended the items that were about to end if they didn't have a large amount of watches, and just slightly reduce the price. So that was almost like a fresh new listing that really didn't take a lot of work to do. And really just kind of tweaking with my store as well, just manipulating price points here and there. These sorts of steps that you probably don't know initially can really help you on the day-to-day and bring in those sales. If eBay knows that your store is ticking over and things are happening on it every single day, it seems to want to put out impressions. It seems to want to put out page views, and those impressions and those page views lead to your sales. So you're 100% right. It's never ending, but I mean, even now as well with scheduled listings over this Christmas period, I'm taking, for the very first time in 18 months, I'm taking a week and a half off. And that feels really, really strange, because I've never done it. But I've also put myself into a position of success, of having the sales continue to come through, because I really did work overtime in the lead up to this time off, in the sense of getting scheduled listings in. So I've only done 5 a day, and I've really wanted to experiment on what would 5 a day over a relatively quiet period for resellers, post Christmas, and what effect that would have. And the sales have continued to trickle in. So, you've just got to be consistent, no matter how you can do it, whether that.
Sorry about that. It was a little bit of a cutout, but I heard what you said, man. Congratulations on taking a little bit of vacation. It sounds like you've deserved it, man, after building your store up to, what do you have now? 1,400, you said, in your inventory?
Yeah, 1,400 now. So I don't know what the plans are for next year in that sense, because I am content with the way that's going. It's actually more for me, probably YouTube for 2022 is going to be my focus on making better videos. I've documented that journey of showing people how I've got to 100,000, how I've got to a full-time job. And I really want to get creative and just make really fun videos and maybe even outsource some of the eBay stuff for year two, the listing and the shipping, the administrative work, that is very day to day that almost anybody could come in and learn really quickly and do. And I can then focus on finding the items, documenting that through YouTube videos, helping the YouTube channel grow, and obviously having the monetization element kick in to benefit that whole process.
Yeah, man, it's all about freeing up your time. That's one resource that is extremely limited. So it's all about being smart with your time. I'm actually going through some different things in my business now where I'm training and hiring sourcers in my business. I'm working on a lot of just different spreadsheets and systems, and I'm looking at setting up a prep center. So, sometimes sometimes in business, man, it's one of the traps that I fell into for years was I was always just grinding. And sometimes, it feels good to grind and list and source, but sometimes you really have to slow down and take a couple steps back and take the time to train somebody to ship, train somebody to source, build out a new system. And it's the hardest thing to do in this business. That was really my biggest struggle because we see the money right in front of our eyes, but we don't value our time sometimes,
Yeah, and I also feel like just that process of it all inside out, and it's not so much a sense of control, but it's just to take the time to develop that new person. It does that pull you back, but ultimately, then again, that sets you off in the long term to have greater success. So, also too, just dollars and cents, right? You've got to pay somebody for the very first time when you hire somebody. So, just even making sure that is even in the position to sustain over a period as well. So I'm really at that point now where I feel like I've really maxed my workload. 60 hours a week for the last 18 months. I'd really like it to be a 40-hour-a-week job. I don't want to work 60 hours a week for the rest of my life. So I think it's absolutely necessary to bring in that person to come and help me. And it may just be part-time, so I don't need to have to fork out too much of an expense initially. And that person can learn the very bare bones basics of listing items and shipping items. And then just see how that goes. See if that does free up some time for me to focus on my YouTube videos. But I think at some point, and as you know, you get to a certain point, you do need to start to grow, and that's only going to help your business long term.
How do you think that would play out for you in your situation? Do you think you would hire a physical employee to come over and work on maybe outsourcing some of the things that are consuming, like taking pictures, listing, shipping, like just having them physically there with you, working like by your side?
I'd really like to get your thoughts on what you think I should do. I'm in a position of just umming and ahhing about what the best step is, whether a VA is a good way to go, whether that non-face-to-face contact, not having somebody here, is that still a way to get effective sales? Does that lower the price of what you need to fork out from an expense perspective? Or is it better to have somebody literally here in the room with me, getting them a second phone or camera to do some listings? And train them up face to face. I'd love to get your thoughts.
Yeah, I feel like honestly, like with eBay, with the virtual assistants, it worked well for me, but it almost became a little bit more of a hassle having the VA. My better return with having someone helping with eBay was hiring someone, in the physical sense. And the way that I did it when I first did it, probably six years ago, was what I did. I did it the most inefficient way, but I was living at my parents' at the time, Matt, and I couldn't have people stopping by. And my mom and dad didn't want me to turn it into a freaking, a sweatshop over here. So what I did was I looked at my business and I said, what is taking the most time right now? And what could I actually outsource? I didn't have a lot of business skills back then. So I said, what I really don't like to do, what takes a ton of time, is taking pictures. And I used to have a listing template that I filled out because I did clothing. So I had a template with like the brand, the measurements, the material, other little tiny things like that. So what I would do is I brought all my clothing items. I'd bring about 100 items over, and I drop them off at my friend's house with a bunch of listing templates. And I set up like a little photography station in one of his spare rooms. And I dropped all the clothes off. And at the time, he took all the pictures for me and filled out the listing templates, and then created a template on eBay. And then I just went and finalized it. So that alone saved me, I don't know what it comes to, but probably like 5 to 10 minutes per item with pictures and listings. If you multiply that by 100, whatever that comes to, that saved me quite a bit of time. But you have to do your math. Like, you have to know your numbers, because some people are like running on huge margins. Other people are running on really thin margins. So if you don't have a whole bunch of sourcing opportunities in your area and you're on thin margins, it's going to eat into your profit margin significantly. So that would be the first thing I would ask you is like, do you have the margins to be able to hire somebody for, and if you pay a minimum wage, you're going to get crappy work. Like over here, you'd really have to pay somebody like at least $15 an hour to get somebody decent. So what are your thoughts on that? Looks like we're frozen. We
Hey,
back
mate.
in action?
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. Yeah. Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah. Where did I leave off? Because I don't know where it cut off.
Just from a listing template sense and sort of creating that time and being effective with your time to hire in the right person. Look, I think for me, getting back to your point around obviously, what are you taking the longest to do? For me, it's actually my shipping seems to take a while, and maybe that's because the sales are rolling in and things are going good. But I just think that if I could outsource anything, it would be the listings and it would be the shipping. And that's administrative type work that anyone can do. And I think a listing for me, it would take me about an hour and a half probably to do my 10 items a day. And I do a lot of clothing, I do a lot of shoe selling, and I do a lot of DVDs. And you can punch out DVD listings incredibly fast.
Yes.
So I know that it wouldn't be 10 a day if I was doing DVDs. Now if somebody that hour and a half, I could potentially 20 items because I don't need to do X, Y, and Z as well as my 10 listings. So I think I could actually maximize having somebody in to actually put 20 items a day into my store, and I would still be able to get everything else done that I want to do to sort of progress myself moving forward. So from a time allocation front, the shipping might take an hour or two. The listings, getting them to do 20 listings a day might take 2 hours. And before you know it, that's a part-timer's workload. So I know that I'm definitely at that point to get it rolling, and I do think it's going to have a huge impact. But the templates are a really smart move. I think I personally don't have the templates for myself, but I think that that's probably something that I should look to do, even to set up for somebody that would come in, because I think the templates would also be a really great way to learn as well. So I might start to create that as well over the next month or two before I get somebody in.
Yeah, man. And you could even batch your work with them as well, because it might not be worth it for someone to come in for 1 or 2 hours. I mean, unless it was like a high school kid or something like that. So you could even batch your work as well, where you have them just come in 2 or 3 days a week and just do all the listings at that point. And then you could have them schedule it out possibly. And maybe on those days they can ship as well. And then maybe you're only responsible for shipping on your own for 2 days or so. Another thing that I do with training, and this has taken years for me to learn, is I create a lot of screen share videos. So have you ever heard of the software called Loom?
I haven't. No. Be very interested to hear about that.
Yeah, so I think it's free, but like for example, what I'm doing right now with my team is I just hired 2 sourcers, and to have somebody source items for me off of, so what we do is we source products off of eBay, Mercari, different platforms, and we sell it on Amazon. It sounds easy, but there's about 500 different nuances and things. You know how it is, right? Like imagine teaching somebody to go source at a thrift store, right? I think the Australian Wi-Fi is I keep losing you.
Yeah, I really don't know. I've done a number of these, and
it's it could be mine, honestly, man. My internet over at my house sucks for some reason. I have no idea. It says full service.
as does mine. Very strange.
Yeah, man. But I apologize. It's most likely my fault. So my bad, Matt. But yeah, you can create tons of training videos, man. And like right now, I'm like literally creating an entire course for my team. So instead of even having to teach somebody one-on-one, you can just create screen share videos. So you can just screen share yourself listing, screen share yourself And you're a YouTuber now, man. You could make YouTube videos of your process just for your team. And if they ever quit or if they have questions, you could have them reference the videos, and maybe even post them on YouTube, create a series for people if they want to train their team, you know?
Yeah, that's super smart, because I will say that, because looking to bring somebody in, all of the knowledge right now is in my own head, and I make these videos and I put them out around my sourcing and things like that. But just the day-to-day mechanics of how I go about each step in the process, I would need to there's nothing on paper yet. I don't have anything created as a documentation to just, here you go, here's a handbook and this is how you do it. So you're 100% right. Through video format, that's obviously what I know and do quite well and quite efficiently. I could create these step-by-step videos, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that would want to learn off that as well. So I'll have to have a look at that. What did you say the website was, or the app was?
It's Loom, LOOM.com. I believe I have the free version, and what I do is I just create the screen recordings, and what I do is I download them and I'll upload them into Google Drive. And then I'll create a Google document like that has like step 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe step 1 is like how to use the eBay app. Step 2, how to list. Step 3, how to ship. Step 4. And I'll have like 50 steps, and I'll just hyperlink each video into like this document. So it's like a full entire course, because what always happened to me is I would freaking train people without videos. And then 2 months later, they just quit. And I'm like, what the? I'm like, I just spent all this time, invested all this energy, like took 10 steps back in my business. And now this person got paid $15 an hour, took all my knowledge, took everything. And now they just left. And now I have nothing to show for it. So like kind of creating that standard operating procedure is, I mean, I wish I did that sooner, man.
Yeah. So how long have you been doing it with that setup? How long's that been?
Well, I don't do that with eBay. I do that with my Amazon business right now. And I do that with YouTube. I do that with other businesses that I have. Like I've been working with virtual assistants I mostly work with virtual assistants now. I did have a warehouse where I had a team and different things like that. I didn't do as many videos, but every time I don't do videos, man, every time I just put my knowledge into someone's head without a video, I get screwed every single time, man.
Well, that's huge info for me. And I think I'll be 100% doing that this year before I do anything else. Because look, turnover is going to be a thing as well. Like I'm not going to be paying people oodles of money to come and do the job. And the job is very basic to begin with as well. It's menial tasks. It's the work that I don't want to do myself. So you've got to anticipate that turnover is going to be a thing. But, maybe a mum that works only available between school drop-off, something like that, or a kid that's just finishing up school, just the sorts of people that I think I'll be looking for, that you obviously touched on as well. So we'll see how we go with that, but I really do think it'll move me in the right direction quicker.
You could do it, man. Especially you're a busy guy. You've got YouTube, you got different things going on. As soon as you can get those like low value tasks, I'm not saying they're not important, listing and taking pictures and stuff, but like we make money as resellers. Essentially, like our main value is sourcing. Like we make money by sourcing like undervalued items. Like the more items that we can source and list, the more money we make. We don't necessarily make any more money by like answering eBay messages or shipping items or taking pictures. Like, yeah, it's part of the process, but I can tell like you've done 6 figures in that short period of time. If you wanted to get to like 250K in sales, there's no way you'd be able to do it like this right now. So I love it, man, what you're doing, man. I think you're moving at a good pace.
Yeah, look, I think so too, and I'm content with where I'm at, and that's why I'm motivated to keep going. And a lot of people will say that, do you lose the motivation at any point in time? And I'm very much a goal specific person, so there's always something to attack, and there's always a bigger picture to aim for. So as long as you've got that in place, you're not just doing it for the sake of doing it. I know that these jobs or this reselling business is a side hustle for many. It's how do I make an extra $100 a week? And I know that my story is a little bit different in the sense of trying to make it a full-time job. But I put a poll up on my YouTube just the other day, and I said, have you got aspirations to my audience in becoming a full-time reseller? And we had a number of votes come in, and 57% of people that watched the channel that voted on that poll were wanting to be full-time. So I think it's a big goal for a lot of people out there. And it's a daunting task to start from scratch in a new world that you've never done before. So jumping onto these videos and learning off the YouTubers that are doing it. And look, I'm 100,000 a year. The people that I watch far surpass those numbers as well. So the opportunities to go far beyond where I'm at is completely possible, as you touched on. But you are going to have to hire that help to be able to get to those levels, which is what a lot of those guys are doing, and yourself as well. You've got these extra staff that are helping you, and it's a scary step because it's the next big leap. It's the next big move. But if you need to get past that next level, that's probably what you have to do.
So as much as I love talking all this high level business stuff, man, I want to take it down a couple notches and talk about DVDs, man, because
Yes.
I have been absolutely murdering it with DVDs lately. And we were talking behind the scenes, and I know that's a big part of your business as well. I know you do a lot of shoes. A lot of people think DVDs are trash. And I can tell you guys right
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
I know not
100%.
everyone could sell it on Amazon, but on eBay, it's
It's
huge.
truly crazy. The amount you can generate in DVD sales is wild, and everything comes back. I think I missed touching on it before. Is it's all in your knowledge base. It's what you have stored up here based on your previous sourcing, and you can just learn and build that over the time and over the months. So I'm at a point now where I'm really aware of what DVDs just generally seem to do well, but I'm always trying to learn more in the DVD category. And I just put a video out recently where I just scanned every single DVD in a thrift store. And I just wanted to do it as an experiment. I just thought, I've never done it. I always look at the wall as you do, and you get a bit flustered by how many there are. But I was like, let's just do it. Let's spend the time. It took me 2 hours. I was sitting there just literally on my eBay app, just barcode scanning every single one. And I pulled out about $750 worth of DVD sales for eBay. So that was actually 35 DVDs. So we're talking an average sale price of about $20 a pop. And I always try and work off $10 plus when I'm selling my DVDs, because I always like to give tracked postage. So I'm not having any concerns on the postage front. So you can do DVD postage a whole lot cheaper. But I just like to have that assurity of knowing that it's going out with tracked. So $10 seems to be a great price point for me. And ever since I put that video out, there's a lot of people over in the States that have watched it. And they've actually been really surprised at the fact that I'm able to pick up these DVDs of certain titles for so much money over here in Australia. They always seem to think that whatever that DVD is going for a whole lot less in the States. But I know there's some really great resellers out there, yourself included, that does DVDs in the States, and they have massive success with it. So
I love it.
I think it's a real hidden gem. A real hidden gem.
So I always knew that DVDs sold well, but there's a couple of things that I learned, and I'm curious how deep you've gone into DVDs. One of the things that I've learned about DVDs, which surprised me a couple of years ago, is the premium you can get for a new DVD versus a used DVD. I mean, I sell DVDs all the time that are selling for $7-8 used, that sell for $70 to $80 new. What the heck? All the time.
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
all
dude.
the time.
Wild. Do you come across new DVDs often?
So I source a lot of my DVDs right now. My business model has changed where I source everything online, eBay,
Wow.
Mercari, Facebook Marketplace is huge lately. So I target new. I will also target used, but I find that a lot of new DVDs get priced way, way, way too low. But of course, when I was just thrifting, when I would thrift at the store, I'd find probably 5% of the DVDs were new, maybe less. So it's not like a huge amount, but anytime I saw it with the wrapping, man, I'd scan it, and it's so easy. Again, I sell on Amazon DVDs. I've done them on eBay before, but I've been an Amazon seller for 7 years. So I find it easier because I don't have to pick, pack, ship, take pictures. I just ship everything to the warehouse. So I'm spoiled, man.
Yeah, dude. Look, it is growing over here in Australia, and we've got some warehouse facilities, and people are selling on Amazon in Australia. Don't get me wrong, but I just think the audience and the reach of selling on Amazon right now at the moment, just based on my limited knowledge, is that it's a little bit less in volume. So, it's a powerhouse over there in the States. And if I was living in the States, I'd probably be selling mainly on Amazon as well, because I know how successful it is. And maybe for any of the Aussies that are tuning in and watching this, Amazon could be the way to go here in Australia. Get onto it early, and really capitalize on having a great store and learning the system in the early days for us over here. But look, I will say, if anyone is wanting to sell DVDs on eBay, they sell consistently. They do sell regularly. And actually the ones that, even from a pre-owned sense, that are worth $20, $30, $40, they're the ones that sell the quickest. They've got the quickest sell-through rates, because they're the ones that are the rare ones that no one can find, and they might be an out-of-print copy. So I'll always source them from my thrift stores, but I'll also source them from Facebook Marketplace. Buying bundles of Marketplace, 200, 300, 400 DVDs at a time, and you're paying $50 to $100. And It's the same process. You scan everyone and you clear off in bulk anything under $10. That's at least my system anyway. But my goodness, the amounts of money. I actually had a look, Steve, at my annual sales. Out of that $100,000 in sales just the other day, $13,000 of that, 13% came from DVD sales. So that, like shoes, clothing, we all know these, but just DVDs alone, not video games. I'm not talking any sort of generalized media. I'm just talking about the DVDs that everyone's given up on. $13,000 in sales. So there is money in that category.
I wonder why people always pass up on it. Is it because they think that DVDs are outdated? Like it's the VHS market, you know? I mean,
yeah, even the VHS market, even if I step back away from the reselling world and talking to resellers that know the game, friends and family would not assume that there's any money to be made in DVDs. So, it's just that awareness that there is actually money, and the resellers, I guess, do know about it, but it's everybody else out in the general community that probably looks at you as being mad for the fact that you're trying to sell DVDs online. So I believe in it. I've seen it work. It's been proven. So I'll just keep doing it.
You know what I love at a thrift store? So if you, I'll actually ask you, are there any types of used DVDs, like a particular type of DVD that stands out to you? There's something in my head that I always look for in used DVDs. Again, we were talking new DVDs, but when it comes to used, is there anything that stands out for you?
Yeah, there is. First of all, TV shows is the biggest winner for me. Anything that's got multiple discs written on it.
That's what I was
So
going
if
to
you've got
say.
two,
Yeah.
3, 4, 5. Yeah. That's the first. And I think when you're not doing the experiment of scanning a DVD wall at a thrift store, for instance, I would always just look to pick out the TV shows and just check those first. And that might be all that I do. But the other sort of maybe genre of DVDs that does really well is the horror DVDs. For some reason over here in Australia, old school horror, VHS as well. Out of all the different genres that are out there, they do incredibly well. So I'm kind of looking TV shows, I'm kind of looking horror. And then if I was to give a third option, it would be literally the old school, unknown, never heard of titles that you have no idea about. That I'm not talking the Shreks and the Disney Pixars and all the common ones that are out there. I'm talking the one that you're like, I have never heard of this movie before. And you sure enough, you scan it up and it's worth about 25, 30 bucks. So they are the sort of the three areas that I look down when I'm doing the DVDs.
Yeah, it's the weird stuff. It's not always the stuff that like you're really familiar with. The stuff that's like mass produced doesn't always do that well. It's that weird, unique, that odd title. You've never heard of it before. You're just like, what the heck is this? That's money. That's going to be money right there. All right, let's see some of these comments right now. Looks like you're back. You still there, Matt?
Got you here, mate. Yeah.
Okay.
Plug it away. We're doing all right.
We got it, man. We're fighting through, man. You know what this video is like? It's like being at the thrift store with like 50 people on a half off day. You know what? You're fighting, but you know there's money, you know there's value, and we ain't stopping and we ain't going home.
We're not stopping. We're doing all right.
So let's transition a little bit. So you sell media. I know that made about 13% of your sales. What else made a big part of your pie in terms of the category of items you're selling?
Yeah, most people on the channel are going to know me for my shoe selling. It's just something that you're always going to see me picking up. Shoes are just general interest items for me as well. I do love selling shoes. I've become a bit of a sneakerhead. I'm not a true collector by any means. And I think if you're not a collector, you're actually going to have better success as a reseller because you're not going to hold on to some stuff. So look, shoes for me, it made up, I did 20 grand in shoes. So 20% of my overall sales. Oh. And I'd probably say that I sourced probably 25% of my items were shoes. So the numbers kind of evened out. It wasn't like I was buying excessive amounts that they weren't selling as well. And the sweet spot for me was a slightly higher average sale price. I was getting on average about $50 free postage for a pair of shoes. So that in context to DVDs, I was able to sort of average out my average sale price by getting better sales in shoes and then a lot of volume out of my DVDs. And that kind of averaged me out at about a $40 ASP. But yeah, I mean, when I'm talking shoes, I'm just talking your football boots, your running shoes, really kind of just volume in those two categories alone. And I got to know the brands and I got to know what to look for with the shoes really, really well. I've kind of niched down very hard in that category. And they do turn over. They do sell. Everyone needs a pair of shoes at every single point of the year, which is, I guess, the benefit to selling clothing. You're very seasonal, but with shoes, it's obviously year round.
Yeah, I love the price points. I love, even though thrift store prices are increasing over here in the States, I'm sure over there they're probably starting to slowly increase, I would assume. When you start hitting
They
that,
are.
yeah, when you start hitting that 35, that 40, that 50, that $60 average selling price, there's room for things to go wrong, such as like the prices going up at the thrift stores and whatnot. And
Mm.
I don't know about you, man. I know you've only been doing this for what, a couple of years or so, but I remember being able to pick up shoes for 99 cents, $1.99, $2.99. And now I go to my local thrift store. They're all 10.99 to $20, maybe $30.
Yeah, you're 100% right. I've seen the increase even just this year alone. I think the local thrift stores are really starting to become very aware, especially the big chains, of what resellers are doing online. And even some of these local thrift stores, I don't know about you over in the States, but they're actually got an online element as well.
Yep.
They're actually putting their items up to sell them online from these charity shops, which I find very interesting. And a lot of them are actually trying to sort of price match what they're trying to sell it for online in the actual store itself. And that obviously cuts out the reseller. So it is a tricky one. You kind of just have to persist. But I'm very fortunate in my area where I'm actually, I don't know if I cut out there, but I feel like I'm back.
You're back now. Keep going. Only for about 5 or 6 seconds.
Yeah, I'm here.
Let's rock it, man. You got it. You're good.
I don't know where it cut out there, but yeah, the $5 to $10 is sort of the price point that I'm able to pick the shoes up for here, and that's enough when you're selling it for 50 to be able to make a profit on. So hopefully, it doesn't turn into the $20, $25 purchase price in general. I'll still pick them up for $25 because I've actually come to realize that spending up, if you know what you actually have, is not a bad move, because if you know that they've proven to sell in the past, $480 to $100 for certain brands and certain shoes, paying for $25 actually isn't too much of a concern because the margin's still there, the profit's still there. So I have been spending up. And I think that's also too because of the experience and the time that I've now had in it. I certainly wouldn't have begun by picking up shoes for $25 in pre-owned condition, but it's the experience of having done it now for a good 18 months that I'm like, I've seen them sell only a month or two ago out of my own store for $100. They are in great condition. I will spend $25 for it. And actually what I do on the YouTube channel, I do a trip to the thrift video every single Thursday. And I go out and I basically just show what I'm putting into my eBay store every single week. And I've added an element into it called cop or drop, which is obviously very common in the community. But I put it out to my Instagram audience to get their thoughts on the item that I'm looking at and whether or not they would want to purchase it themselves. And I'm always very fascinated by the responses in that, because there's so many cases where people don't go ahead and purchase the item, and so many times obviously that they do. But that's a very fascinating element because obviously everybody's different as well.
Yep, I agree. I think it's
Yeah.
more important than ever now to have capital, to have a good amount of capital, because there are so many items at the thrift stores, but the prices are up a bit and people are passing on items because they don't have the capital in this business. So really more than ever, you really have to, make sure that you're not spending all your money, making sure that you have a good amount of capital to invest, because I do think the prices are going to continue to get higher and higher. And, if you're still making 30, 40, 50% margin, there's nothing wrong with that, but you have to know what you're doing, because if you put up $30 and you make a bad buy, you're out $30 instead of a couple of years ago, you'd only be out $3 or $4.
It's super true. And the other one as well that I've really learned a lot about is sell-through rate, right? Like we all think capital, we all think finances, but the big picture here is how quickly does that item sell? And I've just come to realize that over time that certain items are going to move fast and certain items are going to potentially never sell. So for me, I know that my shoe sell-through rate, generally on average, I would say sort of maybe 3 to 4, probably let's say 30 days would be an average sell-through rate for me. And I know that I can pick up some items and they're going to move within the space of a week. And then I know other items are going to take 6 months or so to sell. But you've really got to be conscious that if you are going to put that extra expense into a certain item, you probably want the sell-through rate to fall under your average. And I typically think about that a lot when I'm out there sourcing, for instance, that shoe that is $30. Will you get that shoe turned around and profited quicker than the average? And generally, I'm saying yes to a shoe because it's a very good shoe. It's a very good item that I know it is in demand for. And just like the DVDs, if they sell for a slightly higher price online, generally they're in demand a little bit more as well. So that's kind of the process that I go through. I'm thinking about the price point, but I'm also thinking about the sell-through rate as well.
Awesome. So if you were to think back over the last 18 months or so, and you could give yourself some advice, like what do you think is the number one piece of advice you'd give yourself 18 months ago? Maybe thinking about some of the mistakes or different challenges you've gone through.
Well, I don't mind having mistakes. I don't think anyone should be disheartened if they make mistakes. You're going to make a lot when you're first starting out. I will say that. I've documented my journey, good, bad, and ugly along the way. I made a horrific wholesale purchase of jumpers, pre-owned jumpers in the wintertime. I thought that they were going to be great sellers. Did my first wholesale agreement with a true wholesale supplier out of Sydney here in Australia, and it just did not go well at all. I think I've made about $200 out of maybe a $1,400 spend. So I've almost collectively just lost my money, and I've almost given up on them as well. I don't even put any time into trying to get my money back on those. But I also highlighted the fact that that was part of the development of learning what to do, and I'm happy to share those experiences because I know that I'm not the only one that's having them. But what I will say from something that I've also not only learned, because like I said at the beginning, I was always aware that that was going to be the process, but I guess over the last 18 months, it's reassured me, is that you really do need to grow slow. That's the biggest thing that I'll probably have for anyone. You don't be excited about trying to build this thing over the next couple of weeks and quit your job in the space of a month or two. Have that long-term mindset, be really excited and happy with the little wins that you get on a week-to-week basis, and really have that mindset to grow as slow as you possibly can, which sounds horrendous, but anything good happens over a very long period of time. And you've just got to try and put the fundamentals in place on a very much a day-to-day sense and know that that develops into the big picture, and just chip away every single day. Learn from the mistakes, celebrate the wins, and know that this is a very long-term journey. Because, you might say to me that 18 months is a really quick time to make $100,000, and I look at it like the journey is still another 4, 5, 6 years before I'm hitting where I want to hit on this whole YouTube, eBay game, and it's literally a marathon. If you want to go into YouTube, you're in it for the long haul. If you want to go into eBay, you're in it for a very, very long time. And you've got to try and have that mindset however you can get it, because that's the way to be successful.
So we know it's a long-term game, Matt, just like you're saying, it's so important. It's so easy. And I've fallen victim to this before where I shoot out the gates, go a million miles per hour, burn myself out, give up and quit. As I shared before, I quit everything before reselling. And I'm so grateful for YouTube and the accountability and the network. But what advice would you give to somebody who maybe comes from a similar past as myself, who they get a little gung-ho, they give up, they quit, maybe they just want to get results quickly. It's really hard to just kind of go slow. And maybe somebody's been doing it for a couple months. They're getting some results. They're making a little bit of money, but they're like, this is just, it's not moving fast enough for me. I feel like quitting. Maybe they are getting close to falling victim to the shiny object syndrome, jumping to Amazon, jumping to Etsy, jumping to wholesaler, drop shipping. They're like, screw this. What would you say?
Look, first of all, a lot of these guys are doing it for some side money. So why are you doing it? Like, what's your end goal? What's the North Star for you to be doing this eBay business? Are you trying to go on the holiday at Christmas time with the eBay money that you've been able to generate? Are you trying to pay off that mortgage that you've just, obviously bought a new house for? Yeah, all of these scenarios that play out are ultimately the reason why you're getting into this eBay business. So you kind of have to have that game of constantly reflecting back to the reason why you're actually going ahead and doing it. And if you don't know the reason why you're actually trying to do it, if there's no real clear picture as to why you're chipping away at this every single day, you won't continue with it. You'll quit it because you're just trying to, it comes back to just you're doing it for the money. And doing it for the money will only get you so far, but it's not going to be the incentive to want to make you keep going. At least it isn't for me anyway. I think the biggest thing for me is actually literally the thrill of getting a message on my Instagram account from somebody that says they watched one of my videos and it's helped them make an extra $100. And I know that you'll be getting inundated with messages yourself. And that right there, just that one message or that one comment on a YouTube video, that's almost my North Star. I want to help as many people as I possibly can on this YouTube channel. Because it's just the thrill of being able to assist and help literally people all over the world. And then obviously eBay, having that business in place allows me to make the YouTube videos because I don't need to rely on making money on YouTube when I've got an eBay business. So they go hand in hand. And that's sort of the reason why I want to keep doing it. But you need to just work out the reason as to why. Something that won't make you want to quit because it's just too good if you're able to achieve it.
Yeah, I had two big reasons that drove me. Number one was definitely just I hated working at restaurants. I hated working for other people. I hated clocking in, clocking out. I mean, I felt like a caged guinea pig or something. I just felt like stuck in this little cage and I hated it. So anytime that I felt like stressed out, having to list and source, and it will get to that point, guys, you're going to think, oh, going out sourcing and listing, it's fun, fun, fun. There will get to a point where you don't ever want to see another listing ever again. So I definitely get that for sure. And I don't know, have you helped anybody start reselling, like your friends or family?
Look, I've assisted them. They look at the work as they do look at the work though as they look at it as though there's a heap of work to do, and there is a heap of work to do. Yeah, like you look at it and all the little menial tasks. Like I'm a jack of all trades. There are so many little different bits and pieces that you need to be on top of as you go. And none of my friends or family actively sell large volumes on eBay. They actually use Facebook Marketplace quite a bit because it is just a very easy way to get some quick cash. And I'll always recommend, I'll always help people with listings and photos and how to best present a photo and create an attractive title, for Facebook Marketplace, because that's what they mainly do. But yeah, it's actually not for everyone. I will say that. Like like there's so many people that think I'll just jump online, I'll sell some stuff, I'll automate it, and I'll make money, and then I'll never work again. And it's actually just not the case. You've actually really got to be genuinely passionate about it. And for me, I was working in sales before I got into eBay. So I was already in the mindset of enjoying the game of selling products and trying to hit an X number, because that's exactly what I did when I had a normal 9-to-5 job. But when I fell out of COVID, with the whole COVID scenario, I worked basically a large chain shopping center over here in Australia, and I was in the freezers and I was packing pallets and I was putting the pallets onto the truck, and I was waking up at 4 a.m. and I was driving an hour away. Like just like you, I did that for about 4 months, and that was what made me want to take the leap. And to your point around not wanting to go back to that in the future, it's the exact same thought for me as well. If you keep doing what you're doing, you won't go back to the freezer and work in the shopping center again. So it's just thinking about those things as well, I think.
Man, I still remember like all the freaking lies that I would make up if I was like sick or not feeling like going into work. Like, you have to call out, and I'd be making up, like, I was the worst. I would make up the biggest BS lies and excuses because sometimes I just didn't want to go in. And that's one of the things I love most about being my own boss. Like, yeah, it comes with a hell of a lot of responsibility. It comes with a lot of stress. The thing about running your own business is ain't nobody paying you a paycheck unless you bring value to the marketplace. If you don't bring value to the marketplace and you don't manage it well and you don't know your numbers and you're not organized and you're not consistent, you don't eat. But man, oh man, I would take this all day long over having to work for someone else. If I don't feel like working, I don't work. And there's so many benefits, freedom.
Yeah. Yeah. And you might be doing a stack of hours, but it's still on your own time. If you have something that pops up, the kids need to go to the doctor, something like that, you can live way, and you're not having to be accountable to a boss or somebody else. So yes, there's a lot of hours in it, but it is on your own time, and you can do it how you need to do it to get the job done. But you just in the long term.
Yeah, and it's exciting, man. Like, you have no income ceiling. You have no ceiling on your income. You can make as much money as you want. Again, you've got to think outside the box. You've got to be creative. You got to think systems. You've got to work your butt off. But how exciting is that? Like, drop a 1 in the comments for everybody watching live who is like so excited to set their goals and like be able to take their business to the next level. How many people who work jobs, they just know, like, there ain't no way I'm climbing the corporate ladder. Like, I'm stuck.
What's your biggest goal for this year, Steve?
So my biggest goal right now is my Amazon business. There's 3 main things that I'm working on. It's hiring and training these sourcers. I've already hired them and I'm training them. I was actually on a call with them before this. but it's a huge
Yep.
undertaking. My Amazon sales are at about 20,000 a month right now for this particular business. And I want to get it up to
Wow.
40,000. I think I could probably get it there, honestly, within the next 3 months, because what I'm doing is very scalable. But maybe even get it up to 60 to 70,000 a month. In order to do
That's
that.
incredible.
Yeah, but I'll be spending a lot of money. That'll probably be like 25% profit margins.
Yep.
But in order to do that, I've got to hire the 2 sourcers and train them up. And I have a manager who's helping with that. I'm working on a tracking spreadsheet. So there's a difference between like doing your numbers and books for taxes versus like knowing on a SKU to SKU basis, like how profitable you are, what items are selling, what items aren't selling, like tracking all your profit and loss. Like, so I'm building that whole system out and then eventually moving to a prep center, because it just takes too much time for me to have to process. I'm having literally like 50 items a day show up at my house that I have to unbox, process, prep, send to Amazon. And there's just no way I could scale. So I'm trying to like balance all of that without like getting my account banned. Because if you scale too quickly, you do something stupid.
Is that if you scale too quickly, do they get onto you for that? Do they?
Not in terms of numbers, but if you scale any business too quickly, like you're gonna lose out on quality control, and you're gonna start listing the wrong items or incorrectly, or maybe a DVD goes under the radar that is fake or bootleg. That's one thing we didn't talk about. There's a lot of fakes out there.
Yep.
So there's a lot of things that could go wrong, and Amazon's way worse than eBay. Like you can get kicked off a lot easier. You could scale way easier, but you can get kicked off a lot easier on Amazon. So
yeah,
that's my long-winded goal.
Oh, mate, it's an incredible goal. And honestly, it's motivation for me and for everybody else watching out there to have somebody that's motivated to be trying to hit 60 or 70K in monthly sales. Forget about what the profit margin is, just true volume. It's for somebody out there wanting to do this as a side hustle, you can make the equivalent of what you're doing as a full-time job. It's pretty incredible what we can do in this day and age.
So what about you, man? What's your big goal for 2022, man?
Yeah, big goal for me is exactly what we've spoken about over the last hour. It's trying to bring in that person that can automate eBay a little bit more than what it is right now. I really want to pull my time into the YouTube channel. I want to make better videos. I want to travel a little bit more as well to be able to make better videos by sourcing from different locations. I would love to get over to the States. So if that ever happens, Steve, it'd be awesome to link up with you and make a YouTube video together. Yeah, they're as far-reaching as those plans seem, and obviously COVID dependent as well. I just think that would differentiate my channel a little bit with the YouTube. Is if I was to go and travel and say hello to you guys over in the States, see how you guys do it, and then relate that back to how we do it here in Australia. It's this sort of a mindset that I have to just try and create better videos. And help as many people as I can. That's going to be the goal for next year. And I won't be able to do that if I need to be at home listing 10 items every single day. So get that person in as quickly as I possibly can. Continue to provide value on the YouTube channel and just see where we can take it is definitely the goal for me.
Dude, I'm pumped up, man. And I hope you keep up the YouTube. Really do, man. It's really, really powerful. And that's why I'm doing a lot of these YouTube interviews. Of course, I want to bring value to my audience, but I'm learning so much. Like every single person that I interview and I talk to, there's always something that you could learn from, man. The one thing for me is I got to figure out a light situation. I can't even, my eyes are strained. I got a freaking bright light in my eye. People in the comments are like, what's wrong with his eyes? I'm like, I have like massive light sensitivity, and I don't know if there's glasses or something that you can wear, but like, I'm trying to make it kind of look cool, but I got this freaking bright light straight in my face, and it's like I can't even keep my eyes open.
Well, I've got the natural light, the natural sunlight coming in from the window. I don't know if that's going to help you, but that's
dude, it's look how gangster my setup is. I got like
look at that,
but it's dark outside. There is no light here.
Yeah, because isn't it like 4 in the afternoon? Have you got darkness at 4 in the afternoon?
It's 5. They put the clocks back, and it's kind of depressing over here. That's one of the downsides of living in Connecticut, man. It's like 4 o'clock and it's pitch black out.
Wow, that's insane. Yeah, early start over here, 7 a.m. when we got going, but in the summertime, mate, it'd be similar to you actually over there. You'd have a late sundown at the nighttime, wouldn't you?
Yeah, man, that would be nice, man. I'll tell you, speaking of natural light, that's the best pictures for eBay if you can get natural light.
Yeah.
it's tough, you know.
100%. That's the way I started. I've got these box lights.
Oh yeah, look at those. Those are nice. What do you got behind you there? I'm gonna put my screen. It looks like you got some got like a some type of music player or like a it's not a DVD player. I don't know what that is. You got a bunch of items back there.
Just some audio sound system I've not bothered listing for a good 3 months.
I hate listing big items, man. That's why I like to stick with mostly board games. I like DVDs. I like books. I like easy things to ship, small, compact, man. The thing is those DVD VHS combos and man, those things sell for a lot of money, man.
Yeah. They're just annoying to ship out, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm always thinking about that as well, actually. Is it going to be an easy process to ship? I think that's a pretty crucial step as well when you're thinking about the game. And I get a lot of questions from people around how to sell, how to ship the item, because I think that's a lot of confusion and difficulty for people out there. So I might need to start making a few more videos around the shipping process, because that does seem to be the number one concern for a lot of people watching.
Yeah, those videos always get a ton of views. Anytime I do any type of video about shipping, man, I have a video. This is when I first started, man. I was living at my parents' house. I had 250 clothing items in my bedroom. And I remember one time my mom walks in my bedroom. She goes, "Steven, this room is such a mess. I'm not even going to let the cat come in here." She wouldn't let the cat come in my room because she's like, it stinks because it smelled like a thrift store. I had 250 freaking. But anyways, I had dude, you know, I destroyed my room when I was younger. My brother and I would be throwing Matchbox cars and fighting and crap all over the wall. Like my room was a complete mess. And I remember one time I had like, I'd started my YouTube channel and I was shipping out like 25 packages. So I threw them all on the bed and my room looked all gangster. And I made like a video for 2 minutes. That video has like 300,000 or 400,000 views. Dude, that video till this day makes me like $50 a month on YouTube. 8 years later.
That is insane. The power of YouTube. The power of YouTube. It's it is. Yeah, but they often are. It's the ones that you often don't really put a heap of detail into, a whole lot of editing into. You literally just whack it up with some, even if it might be some clunky footage, if it's still useful information, it brings value. Those videos can still, take off. So you just got to keep posting, and that's something you've done for a very long period of time, and that's why your YouTube channel is what it is today.
So final words of advice, Matt. We're getting to that hour point. Final words of advice that you would like to give to the people who are watching now. I'm sure there's people who are new. There's people who are part-time, full-time. Overall, moving into 2022, what's one piece of advice that you'd like to give to those resellers out there who are listening?
To the new guys, just start making it a store, get your subscription, list your first item up, have a look around your home today, find an item, get the eBay up on your phone, list the item up on for sale. You can't sell a lot of volume when you first start out as a seller, but you can make your first sale. So start by doing that, because a lot of people just sit on the fence, first of all, and they don't get into it. They think about the grand plans of how it's going to be, but they don't actually put the actual steps into place. So January 1, it's just around the corner. Make your first sale on eBay would be my goal for anybody that's watching as a brand newbie. If you've done it for a little bit of time, I'm sure there's people battling with consistency out there. That's the biggest thing, but it's also the biggest secret to success that I've noticed over the last 18 months. So definitely be consistent and stick to a plan of, let's just do it for January. Let's just list 10 items a day for January and attack that and just see what things do to my sales volume. If I've spoken to guys that have sat there and done it for the first time and listed consistently, and their sales have jumped by about 100%. So that's the secret for anybody out there. And I think that's my number one piece of advice that I've learned over the last 18 months. Put actions in place, make a game plan, have a North Star, and be consistent. You'll get the results done.
I love it, Matt. Thanks for coming on. You guys follow Matt on YouTube. First link in the description. What's your YouTube channel called for everybody who's wondering?
Yeah, the Aussie Flipper. 3 videos every single week.
There you go. You heard it. 3 videos every single week. Learn from someone who's doing it, 6 figures. And he's documenting it all, which is really, really powerful. So Matt, the Aussie Flipper, thank you so much for coming on the channel. Thanks for providing so much value, man. We crushed it, loved it. And yeah, there were a lot of people who were actually in from Australia, man. So I think you brought some of your fans over too, man. So appreciate you sharing. And for everybody, thanks so much. Smash that like button. We got AA saying, thanks for these live videos. Love the times they are on too. Very ideal and very helpful. Philly Picker says, great show. Serious Collector says, just found a VHS Disney promo tape today. Nice little come up. Urban Fossiker says, looking forward to the next live with an Aussie. JT is awesome.
I think you got JT on. You got JT tomorrow, I think. She's awesome.
Yep. So we're going Aussie, man, this week. All Aussie. No, just for the next 2 days. So, and last thing I want to mention, I forgot to ask you this question. Your sales in Australia, are you selling to people in Australia or are you selling to the people in the States? Pretty ignorant question, I'm sure.
No, look, look, I've got international shipping on for every item, and I send probably about 5% of my sales internationally, and I would say a lot of those sales are off to the US. It seems to be the most common, but yeah, 5%, and I think it's something that everyone that's selling on eBay here in Australia needs to do because the market is so big for you guys over in the States. So we need to be targeting you guys, and you guys definitely do pay for the postage. So yeah, absolutely.
So you're telling me all those DVD sales in Australia are selling to people in Australia?
Yeah. A lot of them are selling to people in Australia.
Get on Amazon. I don't know how big that market is, but if I was over there, that's the first thing I would do. You probably have so much low-hanging fruit. I don't know. I know the Australian Amazon opened up a while ago, I thought, right?
Yeah. Oh, look, it's just not the eBay. eBay's been around for 25 years. So I think you're 100% right. It's a lack of knowledge for me, Amazon. So I would need to jump into it and learn it, but you'd probably be a good man for me to learn off. That's for sure.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, there's DVDs that sell on eBay for $30 new that will sell on Amazon for $80.
That's insane.
The same with board games, the same with books, the same with Radica, handheld games. I mean, the same with DVD combo players. For some reason, I don't know why. It's like, why are Nike shoes so much more expensive than Reebok? Is it's brand, maybe it's reputation. Yeah. If there's one thing you do, man, go over there, sign up. DVDs will be restricted, so you'll have to go to a wholesaler, which you're a smart guy. You could figure out, send them an invoice, you'll be ungated. But man, do me a favor. I would love for you to document that. You'd probably help a lot of people out in Australia who aren't even messing with that.
Oh, that is an untapped market, especially on YouTube, is an Aussie doing Amazon. You don't see a whole lot of it. So there is a real opportunity there. But I will quickly say, though, you don't need to know why it sells. You just need to know that it does, right?
I don't know. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, man, but there's people out there nowadays who just have so much money. Like, who's spending $80 on a DVD? I would never do it, but maybe that's just my personality. I don't know.
As long as it sells, my friend, that's all that you need to worry about.
Yeah. But then again, man, we all spend money on crazy things. But with that being said, thanks for coming on. Everybody smash that like button. Go follow Matt, the Aussie Flipper. And with that being said, have a beautiful day or a beautiful night, wherever you're watching this from. And we'll see you in the next one.
Appreciate it.
Bye.